Hello, this is Rayo. If you don't know who I am, I'm Ray. And this is another series of health tips or be wary when you go to the hospital. Sort of counseling or just related an experience. I went to the hospital July 2nd, right? Went to the ED department. Abdomen was messed up. Oh my gosh. Big time pain and it's just contractions and all this other crap. And the other thing is this is that prior to that, about 3 to 6 weeks, no 3 weeks prior, I sent a message to the doctor saying, "Hey, if you're gonna keep me on medication, you might as well check my blood every 3 weeks." I feel that's reasonable. These medications have side effects, and would rather that we know and not be surprised during some sort of clinic visit. Oh my gosh, what happened to you? You have now da 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 da. So I sent him a letter, no response to it. Sent him a letter also telling him I was in distress, meaning that the medication that I was taking causing me a lot of problems. It's a diuretic, and it's messing up my stomach big time. And it's like almost paralysis on my stomach that it causes, where I can't poop. The first time I went like 7 days without pooping, 6 days. And the poop that does come out, it's not that satisfying stuff. Those nice soft logs. No, these are the rocks. Very few rocks to begin with, but they're rocks. So I send them a message saying, "Hey, look, I'm having problems now. I ain't pooping right. This medication, yeah, more than likely because it's causing stomach problems. You might want to help. Let's see what we can do." No communication from there. So I ended up in the ED department and emergency room at Duke Hospital in Raleigh on Wake Forest Road. And quite an interesting experience in that doctor was really good professional saying, "Hey, look, run your blood looks good. Run a CT scan, all of a sudden, like, oh my gosh, there's something on your kidney. 3 centimeter mass on your kidney. Now, never had a mass on my kidney. And your small intestines, ooh, they're swollen. And basically, you got edema, and so that's probably what's causing you the discomfort. So I'm gonna give you 5 or something more medications to get you to poop." I'm like, dude, no. I talked to the nurse before I left. I said, "I'm not taking 5 more medications to undo the one medication that's causing a lot of problems. No, I'm going to go back to the doctor since I'm here at the hospital and clinic's open." I was leaving the ED department at about 6:30 in the morning. Clinic's open at 8. And usually once they open at 8, usually they have the doors open about 7 o'clock, 7:15, for people to get there early. So I said, "No, I'm going to have some breakfast and go up to your cardiologist department. Have them change the medication." Nurse was fine. "Hey man, I would do the same thing." That's what he said. So I was curious while I was at the emergency room department because I didn't see the lab results, so I was sort of, you go instantly on my chart and look at your stuff, and I didn't see the lab results or the CT scan results. So I left out. I asked them for a copy. They wouldn't give me a copy. Whatever. It is what it is. I have a copy now electronically, but they didn't give me one when I was there when I asked for it. I really wanted to know, see it myself. So I get discharged from ED, go up to the clinic. Okay. Talk to a nurse, Susan Harrop, at Duke Hospital. And here's the thing: is that we're short-staffed. We can't really attend to you right now because you're short-staffed. But since you just came from the emergency room, yeah, we'll talk to you. Take me back to the room, one of the rooms, and explain everything. I said, "Look, I'm looking for an injectable form of this medication. My stomach is I got chronic GI problems anyway. My GI system is not working, and it hasn't ever worked. It's got problems forever. So having an oral medication that relies on the GI system doesn't work. Gastrointestinal doesn't work. Doesn't work. You're relying on my stomach. Stomach doesn't work. Hasn't worked. Ever. Ever. Chronic GI. And I told him, I said, look, one of the problems with the emergency room department, they prescribed laxatives. Oh. And I told him, I said, look, I am the victim of my own device in that I chronically overused laxatives up until my 30s. And as a result, actually probably, 30s, yeah. As a result, when I take laxatives now, bleed like a woman. Clots come out. As a matter of fact, about 3 years ago, PCP, primary care physician, wanted to do, it's time for your colorectomy, colonoscopy, whatever you call it. And got to check if anything's wrong down there. Any tumors over there, huh? So I go to his specialist. Specialist like, well, sir, you're going to have to take these laxatives. I said, no, is there another way? Absolutely not. You're going to have to take these laxatives. I don't care. It's like, and I told him, I said, look, if I take laxatives, I will bleed like a woman. I will have clots coming out. Big clots, like 3 inches clots and slime and stuff. Oh, you're just going to have to take the laxative. And the last time I had a colonoscopy, didn't work anyway because everything didn't get cleared. So my bowels are all twisted up and turned around, not like everybody else's. There's just blockages and blue walls and this and that. So I said this to the nurse at the cardiologist clinic. Hey, look, I got a history. So can I get an injectable form of the medication? Let's just bypass the stomach altogether. I'm in agreement to take a diuretic. That's fine. Let's get the swelling down. Let's get the water out. Awesome. Good with it. But let's go the injectable form. So here's the thing. She calls me up later. She had to talk to the main doctor and whoever else she has to communicate with to see about changing the medication. Well, here's the thing. Get a phone call, said, gonna put you on XY torsamine, whatever you call it, medication. And it'll be, I just wanted to know where you wanted to go to. I said, well, send it to Walgreens. And, told her the location. Send it out there, and I'll go pick it up. Well, I didn't look it up until later on. And guess what? This medication, it's got sulfur in it. I'm like, dude. And in her note, they acknowledge knowing that I'm allergic to sulfur, but disagree with it, saying sulfur does not cause quote unquote shortness of breath. Well, if you use a butyrol that got sulfur in it and it causes a reaction, you're gonna have shortness of breath. Trust and believe. I had it. But anyway, so I get placed once again on sulfur medications. I'm like, Ave Maria. But not only that, I start to read the results of these CT scan, which wasn't available to me while I was in the hospital. Talking about gallbladders, talking about fluid now around the liver, and all this other stuff, not just small intestine edema. So basically, this medication is messing me up big time. Just doing a havoc on me. So I say this because this is the style of medicine that we have in the United States. Warren, they're easy to put you on stuff that causes a lot of problems. And here, in this case, I asked, well, just bypass the intestines. Just go injection. Oh no, that's not possible. But not only that, not only is it not possible, But then we're gonna recommend. I I did, you do your Google search, do a diuretics without sulfur in it. Came up with like 6 or 7, and I gave it in a letter I just wrote back to the doctor. I was like, dude, and then in the note for the nurse who's in Heron, she says, she says, well, we told you the medicine that you're on wasn't going to work anyway. So you wanted it anyway. It's like, what? What? You have the audacity to put that stuff in your notes? It's like, I don't have a license to provide a prescription. I don't have access to those medications. You do. You're the professional. So you're telling me you couldn't find the other 6 medications that don't have sulfur if you believed the medication that you were sending me home with wouldn't work anyway? Or wouldn't work as effectively? Those are, but yet and still the patient says, this is ethical. The patient says, I don't want no medication with sulfur in it at all. Oh no, no matter what, at each and every opportunity, I'm going to prescribe a medication with sulfur in it, even though the medical record says no, even though I say no. And it's just a baffling scenario. Again, this is Duke Hospital. Mary Knowles is the physician assistant, because I looked at the Susan's notes and it looks like she talked with Mary Knowles, and that's how they cut and pasted into the notes. Susan cut and paste. You can tell that came from the other conversation with Mary. And it's like, so you're following the advice of someone who persistently goes against what the patient wants. Ethical dilemma there. It's interesting. I'm gonna go back there. Basically, it was a rock and a hard place to return back to the ED department there anyway. But my whole thing was, do I start afresh or new right now in the midst of a crisis, or do I go ahead and try to get this medication changed and things fixed by working with a broken system? Tried my best. Basically, I'm in a bad state. I mean, heart is not functioning the way it's supposed to. It's low capacity, about 30%. That means water builds up. There's water around the heart. Oh, the CT scan also shows that there's still water in my lungs. We're talking about February, March, April, May, June, and there's still water in my lungs. This is July 4th weekend here. It's just, I'm in bad shape. Now, I had said long ago that taking the high blood pressure medication causes my kidneys to hurt and burn. Then all of a sudden, voila, hello, all of a sudden we have a mass on one of my kidneys. I'm like, dude, a mass on one of my kidneys. CT scan says gallbladder. CT now scan say water around my liver. You go from one thing to like medications that are causing the whole system to fail, the whole body to fail. This is modern medication, modern U.S. medication, health system, whatever you want to call it. North Carolina, at least localized. Just wanted to share that because it's rough. It's rough. So I'm thinking I don't even ever want to go back to the hospital. Let me just get a whole bunch of natural products and just leave it like that, because every stuff, they don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? They're professionals who only have the license and only can prescribe and dispense that stuff. They're the only ones. And it's something simple like my GI system is messed up. It's like let's say someone has a bag on their colostomy bag, and they already had prior GI issues, and they ask, well, can I get an injectable form of that medication? Instead of abiding by the wishes of the patient who's had verifiable GI issues, which I do also, you just totally cover your ears, cover your eyes, don't look at the patient, just say you're gonna get this anyway. That's the latest. I'm in bad shape. Heart now is combined with kidney, with liver, with gallbladder, with, and I'm just in a lot of pain. And um, that's it. And now I'm gonna have to keep spending more money on these natural products. It's a way out. I mean, this beetroot actually does lower the blood pressure. Some other stuff, they actually work. This stuff works. It's not as strong though. That's the problem. So I'm trying this stuff, but it's out of my own pocket. It's been expensive. I'll take donations, by the way. 919-917-6419. PayPal, Zelle, whatever you want to call it. Take care. Hope this helps. Y'all who deal with the medical system, y'all who got kids, or you dealing with it yourself. It's just you gotta follow up. There's so much stuff now that it's just expecting professionalism and sanity, and you get insanity and psychosis. And it's ethical. It's unethical. Patient says, "I do not want anything whatsoever," and regardless, you. So I left in May the hospital because the same doctors tried to, while I was in there, tried to give me some medication whatsoever. I left. Here I'm at the ED department, and I get out and I go back to the cardiologist and like, "Oh, we're gonna give it to you anyway." Whatever. God bless. Pray, please. Thank you. Take care. This Duke in Raleigh, but it happens at all hospitals. That's how my mom's ended up with liver cirrhosis and kidney problems and all that other stuff. Same difference. You just got to be careful. All right. Take care of yourself.